just like that, another Afcon group stage draw comes around. The 27th of January, to be precise. That's the date for your diary for when the 24 teams will know their fate in the Afcon 2025 group phase draw. So not long to go until you find out how the groups are going to be drawn. We know we've spoken about before the 24 teams that have qualified for this competition. I can tell you now who Algeria's first game is going to be against. It'll be up against not Ghana, because they've failed to qualify. They are the big omission from this group phase draw. So let's take a look at the pots, which we now know, and let's try and work out what the sort of best, worst scenarios are for Algeria and what the African teams can expect to be up against when the draw is made. So pot one, you can't really argue with pot one. You've got Morocco, the host nation, so they'll be into Group A. They'll also be the opening game against someone from pots 2, 3 or 4. Egypt in there, Algeria in pot 1, which seems mad. It just shows you how mad it is about Algeria that in 2021 and 2023 they go out in the group stage, yet they continue to stay in pot 1 for the group stage draw, which just shows it was so good in qualifying. When it comes to the nitty gritty, we're just choking it. So they're in pot 1. Ivory Coast, of course, the holders, will be in pot 1 as well, and it's finished off with Senegal and Nigeria, the runners-up from last time. And of course, congratulations to Ademola Lookman, who was the African Player of the Year at the CAF Awards. Thoroughly deserved. Lookman deserved it. It was a bit odd to me that Salah wasn't even nominated, and you look at Salah's second half of 2024, Salah would have pushed Lookman close, I think, if it was a little bit fairer in terms of the time they looked at. But Lookman deserved it. He scored a hat-trick in the Europa League final with Atalanta, won it, the only game that Leverkusen lost that season, and of course narrowly lost the Afcon final with Nigeria, and he had a very good last Afcon as well. So that's pot 1. And then pot 2, like I said, there's no Ghana. I don't think pot 2 is as strong as it once was. So for me, you've got Tunisia in pot 2. I've been saying for a while, it's a weak Tunisia. It's a good time to play Tunisia. Now, Algeria's record against Tunisia in the Afcon is not great, but if you've got Tunisia as your pot 2 team, I don't think you'd be particularly worried. The same in Mali. Mali, of course, lost to Cote d'Ivoire the last Afcon. They should have beaten them, really. They went 1-0 up and they bottled that. You wouldn't mind Mali. Would Algeria want that revenge with Cameroon? They're in pot 2 as well. And then you've got South Africa. I think South Africa are the underrated side in pot 2. People are sleeping on South Africa. The best goalkeeper in Africa, Ronwen Williams, third at the last Afcon. You don't want to be playing South Africa in the group stages. DR Congo, of course, got to the semi-finals of the last tournament. They're another good side. I think teams want to be avoiding DR Congo. And of course, the team that Algeria seems to play every week, Burkina Faso, could end up with Algeria again. But Burkina Faso, you wouldn't mind them from pot 2 either. I say that, but look at the last Afcon. We did draw to them. But like I'm saying, you've got Cameroon, you've got South Africa, and you've got DR Congo. They're your strong sides in pot 2 for me. Then, of course, you've got no Cape Verde, no Guinea, those sorts of sides not around anymore. Pot 3 consists of Gabon, maybe the last Afcon for Aubameyang. Aubameyang's been all over Afcon. He's played Afcons in his host nation. He's been top scorers at Afcons. You've got Angola. I think Angola in pot 3 is who you'd want to avoid. You wouldn't want Angola from pot 3. Algeria found that out the hard way at the last Afcon. You've got Zambia still under Avram Grant at the moment. You've got Uganda, who return to the Afcon. You've got Equatorial Guinea, who are with Algeria in the qualification. Could get them again. Will Nsue be back? And you've got Benin, who I don't think are great. I think Mounier's still there. I don't particularly rate Benin. They got very lucky in the qualifying. They had the same points as Rwanda, of course. Benin in pot 3. I mean, you wouldn't want Angola. I think Equatorial Guinea are not going to be as strong. You've got to see what's going on with Nsue. I think Gabon, Benin are the teams you're going to want. I think Uganda could be dangerous. I think people could be underrating Uganda and what they could do. Zambia is Patson Dakar or bust. Yeah, I wouldn't want Angola. I wouldn't want Uganda. I don't know, just got a feeling about Uganda. I remember the last Afcon when they were there, they had some good players up front. I think they're the teams I'd want to avoid. Is Aubameyang still that good? Lamina at Gabon as well. Boanga. There's some okay players, but I think if you want to be realistic about winning at Afcon, you've got to be able to take on all those teams in pot 3. And pot 4 is interesting. I think you've got Mozambique in there, and you've got Comoros. And I think both those teams, they shouldn't be pot 4. That's kind of tough for pot 4. You got Sudan. Listen, for Sudan, whatever happens, the fact that they've qualified is the achievement for me. They're going to have 3 cup finals. I mean, what's going on at home? They can't even play at home. That's amazing that they're here. Botswana, could they be the dark horses again? I think you'd fancy playing Botswana. Of course, Algeria will find that out in the World Cup qualifiers very soon. Zimbabwe are back after their political ban, and Tanzania making up pot 4 as well. So that's the pots. Let's look at it. If you're Algeria in pot 1, you could end up with Cameroon, Angola, and Mozambique. That would be tough. But then there's every game tough, because we thought having Burkina Faso, Angola and Mauritania was going to be easy, and look how that went. I remember once again, you can finish in 3rd and advance. So, some teams are struggling to do that. Algeria, Ghana. You only need 1 win, really, out of 3. You've got to be 1 team. Of course, you're going to get an easy group. Let's say Algeria got Burkina Faso, Benin and Botswana. You'd expect us to at least win 1 of those games. But all in all of these nations deserve to be here. They've qualified for the tournament. I think if we're in pot 2, let's say you're South Africa or you're DR Congo in pot 2, who would you want in pot 1? And it's tough, because Morocco are at home, Ivory Coast are the holders, Nigeria got some good attacking players. Are Senegal still that side? Are Senegal still that strong? That's going to be a good question. Is the likes of Mane and Mendy and Koulibaly, are they still what they once were? They've got Lamine Camara now, Ismaila Sarr. And if you think about how Algeria performed in the last 2 tournaments, I reckon the teams in pot 2 would want to play Algeria. I genuinely think that. I think if you're Cameroon, you want Algeria. If you're South Africa or DR Congo, you want Algeria. I think that's how they're going to be viewing it. Because they're not going to want to be playing Morocco or Ivory Coast or Nigeria or even Egypt, which is the way Salah's playing. That's how I see it. But I think Algeria will be underestimated by the other teams and then look to prove some people wrong. If you're in pot 3 and you get Algeria and Burkina Faso, you're giving yourselves a chance. But Angola in pot 3 is harsh. Angola have been probably the best team in Africa. I don't know why they weren't nominated in the CAF Awards for Team of the Year. They gave it to Ivory Coast. What a pointless award. They were the Afcon winners. If you're in pot 4, it's very hard to see you coming out. You're going to probably have to beat a team in pot 3, nick a draw against a pot 2 team. That's going to be tough. So that's the look ahead to the Afcon group stage draw. I mean, we could get some serious group of death. Someone's going to get Cameroon in pot 1. Whoever that is going to be a great game. There's going to be some fantastic fixtures. We could see some rivalries renewed, like I said. Could see Algeria, Cameroon. Could see Morocco play Tunisia in the group stage. Could play Egypt play Tunisia. Algeria play Tunisia. Could be South Africa with Zimbabwe. But we're not going to see Ghana. We're not going to see Guinea. That's how tough it is now in African football. You're looking forward to the draw? Let me know in the comments down below. We look forward to seeing who's drawn with who. Who would you like to see Algeria drawn with? Let me know. I'll see you next time.